Hey friends, welcome to the Aeroponic Tower channel. In this video, I'm going to take you guys up to the Smoky Mountains. We're going to go on an overnight backpacking trip. We are hiking 7 miles up, sleeping at the top, and then we're going to hike 7 miles down. So I want to take you guys along and just show you this gorgeous area that we live in. Super excited to get out in nature. It's been sort of a busy season, but homeschooling is about to end. I just got back from traveling and it's just amazing out. So right now what I'm doing is preparing my food. I am not going to bring like the dehydrated foods just because I don't eat that stuff normally and I think it'll mess with my system, and I don't know. I have all this food. Why would I bring that? So what I'm preparing is harvest off the towers. I'm going to mix it with some rice, my homemade Asian dressing that I've shared on this channel before, and some tofu. So I cooked this more than I typically would cook tofu because I wanted to make it smaller and lighter. And this, I don't eat a ton of tofu. I'm not against it. I just don't eat a ton. But this will hold me over a lot more than just greens and other things. So I'm going to whip up this dish. I'll show you guys. It's one of my absolute favorites. I eat this quite often. I don't always eat it with tofu, but it's a way that I eat arugula and Asian greens all the time. It's so delicious. Okay, the rice is done, but it's warm, so I can't do anything with that. So let's head out to the towers and see what we can harvest. I did harvest a bunch of greens yesterday. If you go back, there'll be a reel out if you want to look through my reels, and you'll see this massive harvest of lettuce, just the abundance you can grow on the towers. And I was able to get 2 huge bundles of arugula. I think there's another one I can harvest. And then I'm going to harvest a purple lady bok choy, and we're going to chop all that up. So this is going to be about 50% greens and 50% rice, and then the tofu. And should give me like a balanced set of macros and nutrition to just keep me fueled. The other things I'm going to bring for food, I have some of these Juice Plus Complete bars. I'm going to bring 2 of those. They're 180 calories. They're pretty high calorie-wise. So I thought 2 of those and maybe a banana. And I think that's it. We're only out there one night, so I'm not super worried about needing more food than that. Okay, so let's go harvest and get this purple lady bok choy. She's so gorgeous. Look at this gorgeous weather. My daughter's on the sofa writing her short story for Challenge B. About to finish that. Hey, this is your last day. Next week is your last day of middle school. She's a high schooler now. All right, it's incredible out. The trees have filled out. If you guys follow my channel, in the winter you can see the mountains and there's views, but in the summer we are basically under this gigantic tree canopy, and I love it so much. There's so many things growing. I'm going to be doing a garden tour when I get back. This is Ella Camp, and the strawberries are pumping. There's so many herbs and fruits growing, so I want to take you guys along and show you that when we get settled out of the mountains. Here are the blueberries. We're going to have a good blueberry harvest this year. This is my kiwi plant, and I was hoping that it might bloom this year. It can take up to 7 years, and we're on year 5, but I don't think this is the year. Some food you just have to wait for. And earlier I did a post on Instagram talking about 6 chemicals that they're putting into watermelon. Not all watermelon, obviously, but that are common practices in watermelon. And it is just absolutely crazy what's going on with the foods. So anything you can grow, anytime we can find local, finding ways maybe not to rely on things like watermelon if they don't grow in your area. Hey, I'm going to be planting some watermelon seeds, but we have a shorter season here, so I've got to do those small ones. So look for that video because I'll be doing a seed starting video. I'm going to record that here in a bit. But for now, let's harvest. Look at those cuties. That's Oscar sitting in the trash pile. And that's Barnaby. I'm working on the garage. I've been sweeping, tidying, and it's looking much better. I'll finish it when I get back from our camping trip. These are Tower Garden specific seedlings, plus a couple of my heavily seeded things. And I'm going to be adding that. I'm doing a course It'll be free, and it's on how to start your tower garden seeds if you get a tower. And then each week, what do they look like and what do you do next? And then we're going to put them in the tower, and then we're going to track them all the way to harvest, which I think is going to be so fun. I'm just putting the eyes on things. Oh, let's get some basil. This would be really good in my dish. The courbachi peppers. Looking good. This one's so weird. It looks like a shiitake, or this one looks like a shishito, but it's on the courbachi plant. Isn't that interesting? I think it just got a little deformed on the tip. I don't know what this one is. I gotta look up some of these peppers when I get back and see. I don't remember what I planted, but thankfully I had my tower garden journal and I took notes. Lots of little peppers. I don't know if these first ones are gonna get any bigger than that, but I am gonna let them change colors. Peppers will change colors. Oh, there's another one here. Just based on maturity. So let's get some basil. That'll be a nice fresh addition. It smells so good, so incredible. That'll go really well with Asian. So I'm gonna flip this around. We're gonna take a look at this Purple Lady Bok Choy, see if there's anything else that we need to harvest. I know, 2 tanks. These both need water. If this happens to your plants, don't worry. It's just hot. It's gonna happen. Especially with cooler weather crops. They're getting blasted by the sun right now. As soon as it cools off, they'll pop back up. I thought about harvesting this kohlrabi because it's gigantic. But I don't really want to put that in my meal. I think it's going to be too heavy. Those are really water dense. So I'll save that for when I come back. I can have a nice fresh meal. There's some tomatoes ready to harvest. But those don't go with my Asian meal, so I'll probably just eat those later tonight. And the salad, strawberries are adjusting. Still look a little droopy, but they're actually coming along really nicely. Celery tower. Look at the squash. Oh my gosh. I could just love it. This is a zucchini. There's our first one of the season. This is months ahead of what I would get in the soil. So there's a male flower, and that's a female. So by tomorrow morning, these should be opened and I'll hand pollinate. When you're growing outside, you don't have to hand pollinate because nature, there's pollinators. But this early in the season, there are not many pollinators. So that's where the towers give us this incredible advantage of getting started earlier, because I started all those plants in the garage and then moved them out here, and going longer in the season. But if you do that in the spring and in the fall, it's best practice to hand pollinate to increase your yields. In the summer, I don't even think about it because there's so many pollinators, but they are just waking up right now. So they're not as dense. Okay, and here's my home tower, and I harvested half the baby greens. If you want to watch that on a video, I made a reel of it. I also did a live on washing all these greens. It's just incredible the amount of greens you can grow on one of these towers. Now I can take the hose and blast these, and it's the reason I haven't put new starts in, because I'm going to do that. I just haven't had time. So after the gym tonight, all I do is take the hose and blast it and just rinse everything off, and you avoid the plants. You know, you don't want to blast these plants. And some of these that look a little leggy, they just were getting shaded out by all the lettuce. So now they are going to be able to grow and be the shining stars of this tower. And I have new starts, always have new starts ready to go into these spots. There's some over here as well. Heavily seeded lettuce. That's how you ensure you always have food, is take one out, put one in, start new seeds every 2 weeks. I talk a lot about that. Let's harvest some of this cilantro here. Cilantro. Oh man. Cilantro and basil on this dish will be so incredible, and just added nutrients. All right, and here's our Purple Lady Bok Choy. And this is a perfect example of something I struggle with. It's so gorgeous. I don't want to harvest it. Like, look at it. It is incredible. But I need to harvest it because it won't always be incredible. It's going to hit a peak. And with these warm days, I think it'll be soon. And we don't want to waste it. And like come home from camping and it went to flower. And we missed it at its like tastiest and healthiest possible. So we're going to harvest this guy. I also want to see if there's more arugula that needs to be eaten. I have quite a bit. That does need to be eaten. I'm going to wait on this one. This is still a little bit young. This is ready to be harvested, but it's not so ready that I'm worried about it bolting, especially because it's on the back side. So these plants are getting more sun on this side of the tower than this. And that's something you have to think about when growing your food. There are shadier sides, and that actually works on our benefit. And so this one's got a little more time. It's not going to get over sun. It's not going to get an incredible amount of sun and just cause it to bolt in the next 2 days. So I'll just make this my dinner when I get back in town. There's some right here, just because I already harvested 2 big bundles. All right, let's take this Purple Lady Bok Choy inside. Okay, we have our Purple Lady Bok Choy. These are so beautiful to me. I just can't get over like the coloring. I don't know if it shows up in here as much. Look at the veining. And then the leaves. The color is just incredible. So all I do for this is just chop off the stem. I like how these don't have much waste either. I used to feed these to my chickens. We had a little chicken issue. So I'm getting new eggs. I'm going to be incubating those soon. You can feed them to your worms. If you worm compost, I'm going to throw it right off our balcony here and compost it. This is our second story. Our house is 3 stories. There's a basement where the children live, the boys. The second floor is the main floor, and the third is our bedroom. And we're in the trees. So the forest goes, so this goes down the mountain over here to the bottom. So we're at the tree line there. And then on the other side of the property, it's a ridge. And so we're kind of like tucked into just incredible trees. I love them so much. It's like being in a tree fort. And I don't need to wash these. There's no dirt or anything with our hydroponic food. So I'm just brushing off any rock wool or any roots that were here. I like when I don't have to wash my food. I feel like there's things natural in the environment that are good for our gut bacteria. And I want to keep those there if at all possible. So anything, you know, not super bright in color, I'm going to throw away. But these, I love the stems. They're super crunchy, filled with water, which will help with hydration on this trip. That stem had a little brown. Actually, no, it didn't. All right. We want all these amazing parts. Okay, now we're just going to chop this. I'm just using like a 1970s steak knife. Probably could use something a little better. Look at that color. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. All right, so I'm chopping it up bite size. I don't want to have to worry about a fork or anything, or a knife on this trip. So I'm going to small chop this. Push it aside. Actually, I'm going to put it in my bowl for right now until I'm ready to pack it in my camping gear. We have our basil and cilantro. The basil, I'm just gonna pull these stems off. And then julienne, cut it, shred it, whatever. Oh my gosh, the smell, so beautiful. All right, I need a real knife. It actually said I'm getting 1 or 2 new knives when we redo the kitchen, but I keep getting scared to redo it. Just the work kind of overwhelms me. Now that we're on summer break from homeschool, it's time. So we're gonna toss that in there. I'm just gonna pick off the leaves. I'm juicing later, so all these scraps, the stems, anything left over, I'll just throw into my juice so that we're not wasting anything. Some of these cilantro have lots of leaves on the stems because they were getting a lot of sun, and some were a little leggy because they were tucked behind lettuce, but it's fine. All right. There's that. All right, we have our bowl of herbs and our Purple Lady Bok Choy. I harvested all of this arugula yesterday, and just a hack with greens, I have videos on how to handle lettuce because that's a little bit more tender and specific. Arugula holds its texture really nicely. Listen, super crisp. But I did rinse these, soak them for a little bit because I wasn't going to eat them right away. And then I put them on this towel, and the moisture went onto the towel. I rolled them up in it and put them in the fridge. And that's how you can keep your greens. Like you can see there's still some moisture on this. You don't want a lot of moisture left on lettuce, but with darker, leafier greens, it's totally fine. So, and actually more beneficial. So I'm gonna chop these, same thing, stems and all. I think the stems are really tasty with arugula. We're going for maximum nutrition, flavor. This will be hydrating food, which is really good when you're camping. Especially because we're going up 3,000 foot elevation in a day. And that elevation can mess with you sometimes if you're dehydrated. My kombucha's, the table's shaking and my kombucha's like bubbling behind you guys. All right, let's put this in our bowl. All right, our last step is to add our dressing. This is my Asian dressing. It's a mixture of olive oil, rice wine vinegar, honey. It's pretty much equal parts honey and rice wine vinegar to oil. And then I use my ginger fermented honey. And so there's bits of ginger. That's all ginger, which would be great for this trip. I'm just going to use all of it. And I'm going to put some greens in here to soak up any last goodness. Oh, and amino acids. And honestly, just do it to taste. If you get equal parts honey and rice wine vinegar to oil, and then you know, add your amino acids. Amino acids aren't going to be anywhere near the amount. So if I'm doing like 1/4 of a cup of oil to 1/4 of a cup mixture of rice wine vinegar and honey, then I'll add maybe a tablespoon of aminos. Just play with it and see what you like. I tend to like mine sweeter sometimes and more Asian-y and rice wine vinegar other times. Obviously sweeter is going to be tastier. All right, so we're gonna mix this, let it sit. These are gonna put off a lot of water as the aminos like draw water out of this fresh produce. I'm not gonna dispose of that. I am going to add rice, and the rice can suck up that water, and that's what's gonna flavor the rice. And then we'll toss in our tofu. I'm probably gonna go harvest some green onions. Let me rephrase that. Okay, I'm definitely gonna go harvest some green onions to go on this. The onions I grow are called Egyptian walking onions. And if you want to landscape food in, or if you're doing regenerative or permaculture type landscaping to grow food everywhere like I am, that is a great onion. You plant it once and it reproduces these bulbs at the tip. So instead of from the ground, it grows a flower on the top, and they're bulbs, and they get so heavy they fall over. And then those grow new greens the next year, new green onions. That's why they call them Egyptian walking onions, because they will fall over and kind of walk around. I put them everywhere. This year I'm going to inoculate them into our driveway, and we just always have massive amounts of green onions, which is great because I'm not going to just put a green onion. I'm going to put like a handful, bundle of chopped green onions into this meal. You can find them on eBay is where I got my first ones, or find a local permaculture group in your area. They tend to have stock of things like that are really cool. All right, this is done. I'm not going to add the rice yet. I do like to add the rice warm because it kind of wilts the greens a little bit when I'm eating this at night, but I'm not going to be eating this until tomorrow. And the greens are already going to wilt from the vinegar dressing, and they're going to kind of soften there. So I'm going to wait until the rice is completely cooled. I'll just put my tofu aside. We'll package this up tonight, and then we will put it in a bag to bring with us. Look at that. It's morning of. It's time to go. So I'm not a morning person. At all. Like, not even a little. Oh, I forgot to brush my teeth. And it's actually freezing out. And I'm freezing, and I'm in the house. So that's making me concerned, because we're going to be way higher up and outside. So I think I'm going to grab another layer, putting on my rewildings. You have to dress for summer and winter, and it's actually going to rain this morning. Thankfully, I don't have to drive this morning. A friend's driving, so I'm going to drink coffee. It's not even that early. I don't transition well when I wake up into like immediate activities. I need this. Will you carry this one, Carrie? Be safe. I woke up freezing, and I live indoors.
What is this?
I gotta give that one back to her.
I was like,
yeah.
My bag is more than you. And Jessica put the
This one's mine.
Oh, mine is huge.
Mine's pretty huge. It's bigger than this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to stream that down before we get tents, because we don't even have tents. Like for the next trip.
I don't know where I would even put a tent right now.
Yeah, I was gonna talk to Michelle about that, because I think I could stick them on the outside of here. Like my cot's gonna go on the outside.
Oh yeah, the tent would go on the outside.
Yeah.
I would rather be comfortable at the top of the mountain and carry more weight.
I'm definitely heavier than the other girls.
I'm heavier than everybody, I'm sure of it. Well, with my water, I was weighing in. Without my water, I was weighing in fine.
Yeah. With
my water, I'm not even telling Michelle. She'll have an anxiety.
I was 22.6 without food, but that was with water.
With water.
Yeah, and I ditched the heavy cot.
And Michelle's bringing the lighter cot. Yeah, I'm heavy, but I don't really care.
That's right, you're strong.
Yeah, it's cold. Did you bring more clothes than that?
Not really. I brought a wool sweater, and I brought one more layer of coat. Am I gonna freeze?
This morning said 50 degrees with high winds.
The problem is gonna be at night.
My bag, the sleeping bag I have, Tom said, is not a great backpacking sleeping bag. So it's big and heavy by itself.
And so where we're backpacking is Alum Cave in Mount LeConte, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a 3,000-foot elevation gain to the top. I think we calculated it at about 12 miles total round trip. And and the thing about camping here is you do have to get a permit, so you have to call ahead and make the plans. There is also a zero fire law up here because so much of this forest was devastated by the fires back in, I think it was 2016, which makes for difficult camping, especially in cool, windy areas at such a high elevation. To not be able to make a fire can make it a little bit more dangerous, and it definitely made for a very, very cold evening, especially this early in the season because we are just barely into spring up here, but it was still amazing.
I did. that all from the fires?